In the eyes of many, the country of Iraq is seen to be little more than a place of political turmoil, invasion, Islamic extremism, hatred, and violence. But while the country has been through great atrocities in the recent past, after travelling to Iraq, I realised that seeing the country through such a narrow lens does not do justice to the land of the two mighty rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates. Iraq is home to such deep-rooted culture, history, heritage, beauty, and some of the world's warmest people. Instead of hatred, I saw love, life, and hospitality like no other place I'd been to before. And the country that so many people were worried about me travelling to, including myself, turned out to be one of the most rewarding travel experiences in my life thus far. I travelled to the country as a volunteer English teacher in the city of Najaf, a city of 1 million people, located about a 2-hour drive south of the Iraqi capital, Baghdad. Other than Najaf city, I was also able to visit the nearby city of Kufa, the city of Al Hillah, the ruins of Babylon, and the bustling city of Baghdad. After arriving in Najaf, I was already keen to explore. Within the first few days there, I already felt as if I had seen most of what this city had to offer. The city centre of Najaf is fascinating to see, and is a wonderful place for people watching. The main souk, or market, is always bustling, and there are stalls selling goods almost everywhere you look. But Najaf is not famous internationally for its market. The reason that millions of people flock to Najaf from around the world is to visit the shrine of Imam Ali, the cousin of Prophet Muhammad and one of the most significant figures in Shia Islam. Unfortunately, it is forbidden to take a camera or mobile phone inside, but here are some pictures I got from Google of this beautiful place. Whilst I was inside, I noticed that there were people from Lebanon, Iran, Pakistan and India inside as well. The people of Najaf were also extremely friendly. Many people invited us out for dinner, excursions, or simply exploration. And upon each invitation, they would refuse to let us pay. Here, you can see my friend Zaid, whose family invited us English teachers over to their house for food. Look at the staggering amount of delicious food they cooked for us. It included grilled fish, 3 different types of rice, and a lot of fruit. Iraqi food tasted fantastic, although I do not think it was the healthiest of cuisines. Here, you can see a famous Iraqi dessert called dahin. Dahin originally comes from Najaf, and it is made of milk, oil, flour, coconut, and syrup, and it tastes fantastic. Nearby the city of Najaf is the Euphrates River, one of the 2 famous rivers that give Iraq its nickname of Ard al-Rafidain, meaning the land of the 2 estuaries. When we went to the Euphrates River, it was so windy.
So it's my second day, it's my second full day in Najaf now, and these dudes have been so generous and have taken me out
Welcome, pleasure.
Thanks man. This is Jafar and this is Ahmed, and they are both at the language institute that I'm teaching at. And they've taken us out, they've taken us to the Euphrates River, which is behind us. It is seriously windy right now, so I hope you can hear me. But yeah, exactly. This is Layla.
We might blow away at any moment.
Yeah, exactly. I'm almost jealous, to be honest. and this is Stuart. He came to Najaf like a couple of days before I got here.
Hi.
And yeah, we're all here
We're all
together.
volunteers, teachers.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I'm Arabic teacher. Sorry.
Actually, he teaches me, we teach him, it's mutual.
It's a language exchange, pretty much. Yeah.
Najaf is also famous for being the home of the world's largest cemetery, called Wadi As-salam, which translates to the Valley of Peace. Here, you can see Wadi As-salam from above. The area of this graveyard appears to be almost as large as the city of Najaf. Wadi As-salam is said to have more than 5 million people buried in it. with the numbers increasing after the battle against ISIS. The cemetery is supposedly older than 1,400 years, and buried inside the graveyard are the prophets of Hud and Saleh. This is their shrine. I spent more than 90 minutes walking from one side of this graveyard to the other. Iraq is also famous for its truffles, which are found and collected in the western desert of the country. Going to such rural areas can be dangerous, and many risk their lives simply to get these treasures, which they sell in the markets. On the first Friday after arriving in Iraq, we went on a day trip with our students to Baghdad, which was roughly a 2-hour drive away. This was certainly one of the best days of my stay in Iraq. The drive went through lush green areas of farmland. This part of Iraq was much greener than I had previously expected. I was extremely excited to arrive in Baghdad, a city of such great history and culture. I couldn't really believe that I was in Baghdad until I finally saw the mighty Tigris River in front of me as we were driving across a bridge. There are supposedly more than 8 million people living in Baghdad, making it the second largest city in the Arab world after Cairo, and it certainly felt big and busy. Traffic immediately got worse the second we entered the city, and the immense scale of the city meant that it took a fairly long time to get around. Our first stop was a street called Al Street. This is one of the busiest places in downtown Baghdad, and it is named after one of the most prominent Iraqi poets, Abu Tayyib al-Mutanabbi. This street is famous for its bookstores, where I bought some old political magazines about Palestine, published in the early 1970s. We then continued to wander around Al-Mutanabbi Street and the nearby area, peeking into traditional coffee shops, shisha cafes, and juice shops. This particular one was quite interesting, as they had Iraq's political history on their walls. We also wandered past a traditional coffee shop called Bandar, which is perhaps the most famous one in Baghdad. Al-Mutanabbi Street also has some beautiful artworks on sale. It also surprised me to see a communist banner hanging on the wall. We then walked into an old Ottoman military complex called Al Qishla, which is now one of Baghdad's most significant cultural hubs. Here we saw art exhibitions, live poetry being read, and some inspiring live music. Being here, I really felt as if I had arrived in Baghdad, one of the world's greatest literary and cultural hubs of the past. What is also beautiful about Al Qishla is that it is located right on the banks of the Tigris River. We stayed in Al Qishla for a short while before deciding to head off to the Baghdadi Museum. On the way there, we walked through this packed souk, which was filled with souvenirs, Iraqi flags, clothes, and other goods. Unfortunately, I'm not sure what the name of this souk was. Upon reaching the Baghdadi Museum, there was a live music performance, which was extremely interesting and enjoyable to watch. The singers sang famous Iraqi, Lebanese, and Syrian songs. After exploring the Baghdadi Museum, which highlighted Baghdad's traditional culture, we headed to the Babylon Mall for food. This was the view from the top of the Babylon Mall. In the distance, you can see Ar-Rahman Mosque, which was supposed to be one of the largest mosques in Iraq. Construction work began in 1998 under Saddam Hussein, but was cut short following the 2003 invasion. The mosque has since remained like this. After food, we decided to head to one more place before leaving Baghdad, the Zawra Park. On the way to Zawra, I noticed this Christmas tree. Strangely, This was quite a common sight on the streets of Baghdad, even though it wasn't Christmas. Zohra Park was absolutely massive, and it was filled with people during the time of our visit. I found it to be a fantastic place to people watch. Most of the visitors to Zohra seemed to be families, but there were also a lot of teenagers who were just hanging out there. We spent more than an hour in Zohra, playing football, going on go-karts, and just wandering about to experience the atmosphere. There was also an amusement park located within Zohra Park, which is home to this large Ferris wheel. Oh, and look what else I saw in Zohra, another Christmas tree. After leaving Zohra, it was time to head back to Najaf. But before we left, we quickly visited this monument, known as the Save the Iraqi Culture Monument. Right next to the monument, we met this beatboxing local. That's all for this vlog. However, the next vlog I'm going to upload will cover my trip to the ancient city of Babylon, one of Saddam Hussein's palaces, the city of Al Hillah and the city of Kufa.